Hey, everybody. We are live, I think. If you can see us, let us know. Give us a little comment saying, I see you.
Hey, everyone.
Not like the ICU for COVID. So. Hey, I'm Dr. Christopher Vogelmann, and with me is the lovely, talented Maggie Unzueta of Mama Maggie's Kitchen.
And
my wife.
And your wife, yes. I was about to say
super smart person who is extra experienced in our topic for today, which is working from home.
Gosh, you're kind of making me blush right here.
I was one of your super fans. That's why I'm always that way.
That's just awesome. Thanks for having me and sharing.
Some of you are seeing us in Maximize Your Media, which is our digital agency. Some of you are seeing us on my professional Dr. Vogelmann page, and some of you will later be able to see us in the Maximize Your Home Business page, which is, what do you call it? It's something special that's coming up in a few days.
Yes.
So we're going to talk about, this is all about edumacation, and I get a chance to interview her, which is awesome because we're talking about blogging and other things. But before we get to that, she's the blogger. I am not a blogger. So anyway,
learned a lot.
I've learned bits and pieces, but enough to be dangerous, but not enough to be successful. So that's why she's here today. And we're going to talk a little bit first off, just like, how did you start, working from home? What were you doing before you were working from home?
So I did a lot of other stuff. Guys, I was a teacher for a while.
That's right. Seventh and eighth grade.
Seventh and eighth grade. I taught history.
Yeah.
It was a great experience. Loved it. I kind of miss it every now and then. So I'm a natural teacher. Like that's just something that, I enjoy. But I was a single mom before Christopher. I was a single mom for several years, 5+. So it was just me and my kiddo, and I needed to find a way to support myself. So the blog actually started completely different. That wasn't a place that was going to make me money.
Oh, so speaking of the blog, which is called Mama Maggie's Kitchen, there's something going off in the kitchen right now. And these are some of the things that we have experienced doing live broadcasts. Most often, Maggie will do live Instagram broadcasts and engage with her followers in many ways. But when the stove alarm goes off, she goes off. So.
Oh, sorry, guys. I'm making spaghetti for the kiddo. And I forgot about that. Put the timer on, and it was just this. Anyways, all right. So forgive me.
Time to broadcast.
Yeah. So, anyways, back to being a single mom.
Yeah.
It was really hard, guys. I mean, motherhood in itself is super hard.
Yeah.
But yeah, so try being single with that. And I needed to find something.
Hey, there it goes again, folks. So you know that things are really hopping in Mama Maggie's kitchen. And they're cooking too. She's cooking up a storm normally.
So sorry, I forgot to turn it off. I went all the way over there. Totally forgot.
It's good exercise. Don't worry.
Anyways, so I need to find a way to support my son, myself. The blog started actually not as a place or as a means to make money.
See, that surprised the heck out of me when she told me this story.
Yeah, my grandmother died in 2009.
Oh.
Yeah, and in 2010, it dawned on me that, oh man, my grandmother's recipes are going to die if I don't write them down somewhere. Mm-hmm. And I wrote them mainly for my son. At the time, he was 2.5, 3. And I started in 2010, I started Mama Maggie's Kitchen as a place to collect my grandmother's recipes. Just so happened that I'm also pretty well traveled and all over Mexico and the world, but mainly Mexico. So it grew from preserving my grandmother's recipes to recipes that were regional to different parts of Mexico that people here in the United States were looking for. So that was
because I remember that. Sometimes they're tortillas and sometimes they're banana leaves. So
that's how it started, how it's grown, and it's been an amazing experience. I didn't realize at first that there was even you could make money off of it. Mm-hmm. And I started doing. Shortly before I started the blog, I started doing social media for small businesses, just locally or here in San Diego. I found people who were interested in, because I was really good at social media, still am, And I thought, okay, well, I'll provide some services. And that's how Max started. Maximize Your Media started really small, guys. Gosh, got back in the day.
You and one client.
Guys, I used to wake up at 5 in the morning. I used to wake up at 5 in the morning before my son woke up, and I worked for 2 hours because he woke up around 7-ish. So I'd work for 2 hours, just hustle. And then he would get him ready for school. I would take him to school, and I would work during the time that he was at school. And then in the afternoons, I was home with him. And that's really what happened when I started working from home. I wanted to be home with my son. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to work a traditional job. I wanted to be with my son, but I needed to figure out how to work with my son or still work and have my son be at home for him. So actually when we came home, I was with him. We'd watch his, Thomas the Train and all of his, the stuff that he liked back then. Gosh, what was it called? Lightning McQueen. Oh, he loved that. Toy Story, Blue's Clues, all of that. We'd sit there, we'd watch his stuff, we'd play, we'd go to the park, we'd do stuff. I was with him, and that was so super important to me. So
as a mom, you weren't going to thrive on a 9-to-5.
I wasn't going to thrive on a 9-to-5. I just was not. And but I did go to bed with him. 8 o'clock, he was in bed, so was I. So I got my sleep. I did get some good sleep, even though you're like, ooh, 5 o'clock. So
you weren't milking cows.
I wasn't milking cows. But yeah, that's how that all started. And then 5 years later, actually 5 plus, I married him, and things changed. I'm the lucky guy. And girl, I'm the lucky girl. All right, keep going. What's your next question?
Oh yeah, so I actually wrote some notes down here because I don't want to miss anything. What I am missing are my glasses. But the good news is I made it in really large print. Oh, you're going to let me use glasses. This is good. I'm not using Braille today.
No, you're not.
So cool. So yeah, so you got the why thing. So what kinds of other things did you first do? So you talk about social media, but the blog came or social media came first?
Social media came first.
Oh, okay.
And because people were like, oh, you're pretty good. Twitter is a big deal back then.
Really?
And it still is kind of, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I did a lot of help. I helped people with their Facebook posts and Twitter, like I said. Pinterest eventually came on the market, and yeah.
And there was no Instagram.
There was no Instagram back then. Yeah.
Pretty interesting. But your focus seems to be more on the blogging. That was you're like one of the OGs, old gangsters. One of the OGs of the food blogging world.
Yeah, that's what I get called an OG.
Yeah.
That's true. Because I remember.
How many years?
I'm going on 10 years. This is my 10th year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So she's got 10 years of blogging experience, which lets me think that she knows something about blogging.
I'm still here.
Yeah.
That's the good
survival.
That's good. Yes.
So blogging was the thing that, so tell me a little bit about blogging, because people are interested about blogging. And the question is, we talked about why you first started, but I mean, people will ask things like, should I start a blog? How much money can I make starting a blog? How long will it take? I mean, there's a lot of different questions that people have when it comes to blogging. So.
I get asked at least once a week.
Yeah.
It used to be more, but right now it's about once a week. Hey, how do I start a blog? And I really hate this question, guys. I hate this question so much. I have no idea. Because, they get to know you. I get to know my followers and so forth. But blogging is not for everyone. Most of the time, and I would say 99% of the time that someone asks me this question, it's because they want to know, how do I work online? A lot of people don't know that there are jobs online. I literally have created jobs for myself and businesses.
For employees too.
And for some of my employees, there are jobs out there online. But blogging, okay, so let me go back to blogging since that's what we're really talking about here. Blogging, how much money can you make? And guys, I know people who are making millions. Mm-hmm. I also know people who are making pennies.
$10.
Pennies.
50 cents.
Wait, hold on, let me tell you the story.
Oh.
My very first sponsored job, I thought I was killing it. I thought I had made it, and it was $50 with Whole Foods. And I remember thinking, oh my God, this is great. It was so awesome. Yeah, $50. I don't even.
It's a great start. Your first dollar online is like the most important.
It is. It is. But really, it's not. I can think the problem with people, or why people are enamored with the idea of probably starting a blog, is because people started talking about how much money they could make off of a blog, and it's not necessarily for everyone. Like I said, I mean, it's really hard.
Well, it's not the fastest path to fame, fortune, and that's for sure. So,
it took me years to get here. It took me so many years to understand, and I'm still constantly having to learn. I mean, I have to go and study and research. There are changes. Everything changes like a drop of the hat. Like right now, I could go over to my phone and, oh my goodness, there's a new update on blah, 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 blah.
Like all those algorithms keep changing.
Yeah, they keep changing, and you have to be there.
Yeah.
You have to go and figure out what you're doing, because it's your own little business. And usually, because a lot of people think, oh, Mom Makes Kitchen, you know, there's Maggie, and she's just in her kitchen, she's cooking. I have people who help me. He helps me.
It's like, how hard is that to be just in your kitchen and blogging?
No. I've had it before where people are like, oh, you just eat pajamas, you just take your pictures, and
you can't do this in your pajamas.
Yeah, well, I guess you can. I mean, but the point I'm trying to make here is it's not as easy as you think.
Yeah. So if somebody wants to, I mean, can anybody start a blog? I mean, you can start a blog. Okay.
Yeah, it's easy. It's actually easier than you think.
But like, do you pick a particular topic or niche as they talk about?
Yeah, anybody can start a blog. Anyone. Yeah. The thing of it is, though, is that, you know, to make it successful and actually get readers and followers, I mean, that's a whole other puppy. But, you know, there's a saying in our world, which is our online world, the riches is in the niches. So I'm a Mexican food blogger. You guys, if you know me, I am Mexican. So it was just natural for me to.
Yeah, but you started out as a general food blogger. That's what I remember, didn't you?
No.
You started out with Mexican,
Yeah, my grandma's stuff.
Got it.
Yeah, I started with my grandma's stuff. What happened was that, you know, I was like, oh, maybe I can try something, because I do cook other things. And guys, I've traveled a lot, not just in Mexico. So I was like, oh, let me try this recipe, and I published this or that. But, you know, I was like, that's not really me. You know, yes, or what I wanted Mom Maggie's Kitchen to represent.
Yeah.
And, you know, there were recipes that I made for my son, you know, because, you know, he was a finicky eater.
No.
He's also a finicky eater. So things like that I was like, oh, hey, you know what? This would be great to put on the blog, because people are probably looking for these recipes. But you really have to niche down. And guys, I don't really have too many of those still published. In fact, I might have published some of them.
They're back in the archives.
Yeah,
somewhere.
They're not really up anymore. Maybe 2, 4.
It's like you won't find the Stay Puft Marshmallow Man on her blog.
Yeah, I don't have any of those recipes. Most of them are going to be niche down recipes.
Yeah. So what kinds of things do you need to know to be a successful food blogger? A blogger in general. I'm saying, like, what do you need to know?
What do you need to know? Gosh, that one's rough. That's a hard question.
Do you need to know a lot of tech? That's the question.
Okay, here's the thing. You can hire and outsource everything.
Yeah.
Anything and everything. If you got the money, you can do it. You can go and research. You can find people to help you do the stuff that you don't understand. If you just want to be the face of it, that's fine. But you got to be smart enough to find the people who can help you maintain your website, who can take your pictures for you, can take your videos for you, who can upload, you know, the writing of who do the research to the keywords, to have the right metas, to do the Pinterest descriptions. Like there's a lot involved in just putting one blog post. Most of the time I work ahead of time. Right now I'm not, but most of the time I work ahead of time. I research what I'm going to blog about. I research what the keywords are, how competitive they are, the recipes, that is. And then from there, I start cooking and I start taking pictures and I edit images. I have images, guys, that I just have to sit down and cut. And also, you know, with my videos, same thing with my videos. I have to go down and cut them down and edit. And
But I mean, isn't that's kind of unique to food blogging? Because what I've looked at with all these bloggers is that food blogging seems to be one of the most labor-intensive, complicated things that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Compared to a travel blogger or somebody's blogging about automotive parts or, you know, even healthcare.
Yeah, and that's where money comes in. Yeah. You know, if you are talking about how blogs get monetized, okay, how bloggers make money different ways. Okay, one of them is through ads.
Mhm.
And if you have really good content out there, you're showing step-by-step pictures, you're showing people how to create whatever it is that you've got. Or let's say that you are a travel blogger and you just have the most amazing pictures in the world. Advertisers are going to pay more to be on your website, and therefore you make more money. So it's all about quality, not necessarily
Quantity or
quantity.
frequency.
It's not necessarily,
Yeah.
well, you do have to be active, but let's just say that you have a really good quality blog, a blog post. You're going to get traffic to it, and people are going to find you, and people are going to want more of you. And that's when you get followers and super fans and
Super fan, yes. Super fan. Although is it backwards? No, it's actually the right direction.
Yeah,
That's pretty cool.
All right, so what else we got?
So I was asking about that. So people have asked all the time, can I just put up a WordPress site or can I just put up a Wix or something else like that and just go to it and start blogging? And what do I have to do in terms of creating content? Let's say somebody's not a food blogger, just general blogger. I mean, what do they have to write in order for the Google to pick them up?
Keywords. Get a good keyword. Do your research. Find a good keyword that isn't very competitive, that people are looking for, phrases that people are looking for on Google, and write really good content around that subject, publish it, and boom, you're going to get traffic. You're going to get rank. It does take a little while to build up a following. And
isn't that dependent too? Because you're going to put in either time or money or both.
Yeah. A lot of blogs, guys, they pay for their traffic.
Yeah.
They pay for their fame, so don't really be, oh gosh, I really hate competition. I don't see my competitors as competitors. I just don't. And there are people who actually will get hurt. Oh, I got passed over and such and such, brand, and they went with so-and-so and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, you can't look at that stuff. Or that person has 1 million followers. Why don't I? Well, they probably paid for their stuff and you just don't have that budget. I mean,
but the other thing too that strikes me is there can be collaboration and cooperation among what people might call competitors. Because I've seen with some of your so-called competitors that the rising tide lifts all ships, because when you collaborate and share other people's stuff, it raises both of you up.
I am blessed. I'm blessed to have a few people in my food blogging world that I can call up and be like, yo.
Help me, Obi-Wan. Obi-Wan, you're my only hope.
That has been a blessing. There are people who don't have that. And there are a lot of sharks, guys. It's sad. The blogging world is really
Well, I think it's like any business. There's going to be people who are cooperative and nice people, and there are other people who are just out for blood in the water.
Yeah, there are sharks. I've had it, guys. I've had it happen a few times where, I've been told right in front to my face, you shouldn't do that recipe. It's not a good recipe. That's not a good idea. And they literally turned around and wrote that recipe.
Did the same recipe the next time.
What? Or people have stolen my stuff. People steal.
Oh yeah, stealing.
Stuff.
That's a tough one.
Your images. The images. When people steal images, I get so upset because I work really hard. I work really, really hard on my images, my videos. So when someone just says, "Hey, I'm just," and they slap their name to it, that just well,
that even happens in foreign countries too. Somebody from the Netherlands does it, or somebody from here or whatever. That's a tough one. And if there are these violations, I've seen where a YouTube account can get shut down, or the video can be removed if they're using somebody else's image as a thumbnail. Yeah,
I had to have that happen with someone, and it was really sad. Then they reached out to me and they asked me, said, "Why?" They were in Spanish. They asked me, "Why did you do this to me?" And I said, "You stole my image and my recipe. What do you think?"
If I came to your house, took your television and the remote control, would you be okay with that?
Probably not.
Probably not. Or your painting. So we talked a little bit about monetizing a blog. You're talking about ads as one way, but what about other things, or products or courses or what have you?
Right now, Mom Maggie's Kitchen makes most of its money off of ads.
Yeah. Okay. I get that.
Yeah. That's the case for most food blogs and most blogs in general, just the ads. But you can monetize in so many different ways. One is ads, like I said. The other one is sponsored stuff. So let's say that a brand, again, Mexican food. So let's say that there's a tortilla brand that comes up to me and says, hey, Maggie, I want you to use my tortilla and make a recipe. I'm like, cool, how much are you going to pay me?
I'm not doing it for free.
Yeah, you don't work for free, and neither do I.
Yeah.
So that, remember that one if you ever decide to do it.
One of the most important things. I mean, they can give you a giant pile of tortillas, but it's not enough to pay for the amount of work you're going to do.
It really bugs me when I see people taking stuff for free and thinking that's awesome. And I'm like, no, that actually does not help everyone else. It helps. It's not even helping you.
It's a race to the bottom.
It's a fast race to the bottom. So seriously, it's like a daily thing. Can you just mention me? Can you do this for me? And it's just like, I can't do that. So you have to set a bar for yourself. But so that is really lucrative, by the way, guys. There are people who make a lot of money working with brands and sponsorship. There are affiliates in Amazon just killed the affiliate percentage.
Well, they went down by 50%, I think, from what used to be.
But people are still making money off of affiliates.
But you need a lot more traffic and a lot more buyers.
Or the right affiliate program, because there are people who are still paying out some good money. I know bloggers also who've started groups. Let's say they're in the crafting niche and they join together a bunch of people and they pay them a certain amount every month just so they can do crafts together. That's huge. I also have another one who sends not a salsa of the month, but it's like a box of the month kind of thing where they send it out every single month. So that's a little bit of extra money. All of that at the end of the day, I mean, think about it. It's a really good chunk of change.
Well, and you're doing it, you're layering the different ways of making money. It's like you've got multiple streams of online income.
Exactly. And that's actually what you want, because you never know if one day your RPM or your
it's a rate for 1,000, but advertisers
ads. Let's say they slash, something happens, another God forbid pandemic happens, and you have to rely on another one of your sources of income. So that is what actually has helped me and us actually be online and work from home for as long, because when one thing falls, you've got the other one that helps maintain and support you and your family.
Yeah. And so, I make a great hand model, by the way.
Yes, he does. So some of my images are not my hand, it's my son or my husband. I need a hand model. Who's here?
Who's here? Hold on. Hold the camera. Follow me. But that's the great thing about working from home is that you can support each other in doing this. Now, some may be single moms who don't have that support at home, or maybe they have a spouse who works outside of the home. But it's still great to be able to earn money while you stay put. So when the pandemic happened for us, it was like lockdown. Okay, well, we really didn't go out that much anyway. What has changed is we weren't grocery shopping at the beginning, so we would order things. They'd come to the door, and we would you did it, wash everything.
My hands hurt.
Sorry, from washing groceries, but it didn't really change our lifestyle too much, other than we weren't going out to restaurants and things like that.
Yeah, and we'll give you some tips on later.
That comes later.
How to work from home.
How to work from home without killing each other. Without any choking.
All right, what else you got?
I got another one here. So, what does your typical day look like as a blogger? Because this is interesting, because she wakes up in the morning and the first thing is, what do you do?
I check my stats.
Exactly. Where are my numbers? I gotta see them. She's a stats nerd. She loves her numbers.
My bachelor's is it's an emphasis in statistics because I love my numbers. So first thing I do is I check my stats to see if there's any anomaly, anything that's changed out of the normal. That's the first thing I do. And I just nerd out for a good, 30 minutes every morning, and I know what to look for at this point. So it's like, okay, boop, 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 eek.
Well, it's not always eek, but it's been a roller coaster ride in terms of traffic over the last several months.
It's spiked, and some people have seen some downfalls. I've heard people's RPMs slash. Well, mine also did. I mean, it's just been nuts lately with everything that's going on.
Settling down.
Things are starting to settle down. RPMs are higher. Just at this moment, I don't know what else is going to happen. It's like I'm waiting for the next curveball. It's like, what's next?
Well, I mean, and advertisers are now willing to pay. It's just a question of they're very selective, and some are still delaying because we had all the protests and some civil unrest and stuff.
So it really depends on what's happening. As far as mine.
Well, let's say that but you've got a camera nearby all the time. I mean, any time there's food. If we went to a restaurant, for example, there are multiple pictures.
Well, so my day-to-day, he was asking.
Yeah, the day-to-day. I mean, but day-to-day, I've seen this in the kitchen where there's a tripod set up. So.
Right. So my day-to-day really depends on my schedule. I'm usually ahead by a month, usually, sometimes 2. That's my goal. 2 months, 3 months would be ideal. Unfortunately, I haven't really been doing that. We had, kind of a pandemic and protests. Protests. So, but a lot of it has to do with my research and what I'm able to blog about at that point. So if I'm looking at my keywords and I'm like, okay, I haven't done this one, but I can do this one and these 2 at the same time, or 3. My deal is 3. And then I'll get into the kitchen and do it. But if I know that I'm cooking, so here's something. You also have to think about your lighting. So for me, being in Southern California, right now I would say
it's
2 to 3, maybe 5, somewhere in there. So 2 to 5, that's a really good time for me to shoot. I also don't like shooting knowing that I have to feed my family like right then and there. Because it really stresses me out, and it's like, move, leave me alone. Our kitchen is really open, so sometimes my son will be there, and you know what, you just have to work around all of that.
And occasionally be quiet if there's a video or a story or something happening.
Yeah, I'm on Instagram quite a bit, guys.
Yeah, she's like one of the Instagram queens at this point. But you'll shoot things. I mean, will you write things at different times of the day, or how do you handle this? I mean, just shoot images first and video, and then put it all together.
No. Before I turn on anything or start cooking, I research. Usually, it's at the beginning of the year or as I'm going along, and I find a good keyword. I'm like, oh, hey, you know what? This is a good keyword, a good recipe I haven't done yet. Or maybe there's something people are asking me to do and I just haven't done it. I make sure that I write it down and I'm like, okay, I'm going to come back to it. I'm going to research it. The research is number 1. Okay. And then from there, that's when, all right, what am I going to make? But yeah, content, but there's always so much content already on my computer that I just need to edit and just publish. But yeah, so then I shoot. Then from shooting, when I'm shooting and as I'm testing, I'm usually writing down my recipes. I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks of recipe testing and recipes that I've tested. And then from there, that's, again, we, don't eat this just in case these pictures didn't come out.
That is true.
Yeah.
Save the food. Don't touch what's in the fridge. That's what makes a food blogger different than a travel blogger, because you're not going to eat the destination.
Well, yeah. So then again, you upload the images. If you're taking some video, you upload everything, and that's when editing happens. I actually do my pictures first in all my videos and stuff before I write, because it's just, there's a formula to the way that I write my blog posts, and I want to make sure that I have my pictures are coinciding with what it is that I'm writing. So yeah.
And how did you learn this formula? Did you make a mix of other people telling you things?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I've gone to a few masterminds and, things that for experts, people a lot smarter than me telling me how I should be writing. But the whole thing is quality. And I have done it quite a few times, guys. I can't count how many times where I scratch the whole thing because I don't like the way that the images look. Yeah. And that's one of the other reasons why I haven't really hired anybody to take my pictures, because I want it to be very representative of me. There are people who help me, okay? I do have assistants, people out there. I'm not just talking about Christopher. I'm talking about other people who help me with the blog, people who help me schedule on Facebook, people who help me schedule on Instagram or on Twitter or things like that. Like, I have people who help me. Oh, and also with the blog comments, because I get bogged down with the blog comments. I have people who help me. I have someone who does my email list. I have or my newsletter, excuse me.
Yeah.
I have a lot of people who help me in different areas, so I can save my time and utilize my time to the best of my ability. And that for me is testing my recipes, writing my recipes, making sure that my recipes are good. Just because you see a good picture online does not mean you're going to find a good recipe. I have seen it happen several times where a blogger a reader reaches out to me and says, I read such and such, I tried such and such person's recipe and this isn't right. I don't like it. Can you tell me what I did wrong? And I'm like, well, why don't you reach out to them? And they're like, well, I know you better than I know them. And I'm like,
well, but I think that's an important thing, because that's the know, like, and trust factor, the KLT thing, which is people through the blog, you develop a relationship with people, you produce consistent content, and they feel like they know you, almost to the point where you've got these little direct messages on Instagram. Now that you've never outsourced, because these are like the super fans.
No, yeah, I have some amazing fans. My readers, gosh, I appreciate them. Deepest part of I am beyond appreciative of my readers and my followers. If you reach out to me, for the most part, I will respond to you. For the most part, I might miss it somehow, and forgive me for that. That was not my intention.
Or it might even take a day or two. I mean, it depends on how much.
Yeah, I want to make sure that my readers know that I'm there for them.
Yeah. I think we've got most of these things, but you talked about how can somebody learn more about becoming a blogger? That's a question, because there's a lot of resources out there and things like that too.
You know, blogging just start looking at the Facebook groups. There's so many Facebook groups out there talking about blogging. And you have to find your niche. I think that's the most important part. Yeah. You have to find your niche. If you want to be a general blogger and just blog about lifestyle, I feel like those have a harder time. Okay, you really niche down and find out what it is that you're good at. And guys, I love, my passion, my love is Mexican food. It really is. I really, truly love Mexican food. He can tell you, I mean, I've traveled extensively throughout Mexico. Like, I love Mexican food, and I want to bring it out there. If you have something like that you feel that passionate about, put it out there. Put it out there. And I know it can be a little daunting. I know it can be a little scary for some people, but it really is the best way to guarantee that you're going to continue doing what it is that you're doing, because it is hard. It will be hard. Blogging is hard. Well,
and you have to test. You test. You're always experimenting. You test. You retest. Does the message that you have resonate with people out there? That's a question too, because if there's nobody out there who's interested in what you're doing, you can be the most likable person in the world. And at that point, maybe you become an entertainer as opposed to a blogger.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that does happen. She's very entertaining, by the way. Just check out her Instagram lives. We used to do Facebook lives like for about a full year on Sunday nights.
Those were hard.
They were super hard because they lasted a full hour. But that was an experiment, and that was testing the waters and seeing. And there was quite an audience that was developed to the point when we stopped doing it, or when she stopped doing it, and I stopped holding the camera. And help answering comments, people actually missed that because it was consistent content coming out. I think that's the thing you're talking about, consistency in your blogging too.
Yeah, you have to be consistent. Like, I publish Tuesdays and Thursdays right now. Yeah. There was a time when I was publishing Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and I still remember people were asking me, "Hey, you didn't publish today," and it was like, "Oh, you guys really are."
You actually noticed.
You noticed. People will follow you. Yeah. People will follow you.
That's absolutely true. So we're going to this is actually the first of a 4-part series that we're doing. It's a little bit of almost like a pop-up. We're just doing a couple of these things because we're also seeing whether people like having us talk about working from home, and especially, working online. But there's tons of different opportunities, but we'll talk more about that the next couple of days.
So last thing I'm going to tell you guys about this is that Mom Maggie's Kitchen does do well. Okay, financially, I monetize well. I'm lucky. I am blessed, that I have been able to monetize the blog the way that I do.
Well, so does the second business too.
But that's what I was about to say. Yeah. I have a second business that I grew at the same time. Maximize Your Media also does extremely well. So thankfully, we're able to survive and all these.
Well, we have seen it too, that when one revenue had gone down, the other one either stayed the same or rose.
Yeah,
which is interesting.
Yeah, so we're gonna be talking about this because there are other ways to work from home and make money from home.
Yep.
Especially right now that people are interested and stuck at home.
I'm trying to get rid of that reflection. That's one of the things that you don't want to do in live
What
broadcast.
reflection?
See on my glasses.
Oh.
You don't see that. Anyway,
No, I don't.
That's part of the deal. You accept me for exactly the way I am.
All right.
So we're going to end this for now. We're going to be back here again tomorrow. I think we're going to try for 11 o'clock. Or 11:30. We'll try. Sometimes we have had some technical difficulties. We've had Wi-Fi go down. We've had gamers nearby. People streaming. Our next door neighbors sometimes stream Netflix at an ungodly amount. So if you've been working from home and have seen delays in your internet, it's probably not you. So anyway, we'll be back to talk about more ways to make money from home tomorrow. And I think then Saturday and Sunday too. So, okay.
We'll see you then.
See ya. Bye.
Bye.